first of all, what an amazing venue. They very fortunate that this program has this venue, and thanks for Ohio State for hosting. For me, we're glad to be here. It's been kind of a wild year for a lot of teams. It just seems to be that kind of season where everyone's been through maybe a lot of different versions of who they are, and a lot of the teams look a little bit different now than they did at the beginning of the season. That's a credit to, obviously all the talent on all the teams, and we have a tremendous amount of respect for all the teams that have qualified. And then for us, we open up with Fort Valley, and we got to see them a little bit in a tournament we went to in Reno this year with JBJ hosted up there in Reno. It was a good event. They have a couple of really nice arms and a couple of really nice athletes, and I have a tremendous respect for what Larry's been able to build there and what he's done. So we're excited to be here. I couldn't be prouder of the journey that we've taken with this team. If you think about us a year ago, we had 10 seniors on our team, and to be sitting here in the situation again is a credit to all these guys. At times this year we played with 4 freshmen on the court. These 2 guys were the only guys on the court last year in the finals, and Sky was playing on the right, not on the left. And so Dieris is our only guy from the championship match last year that was playing the same position. I say that because there's been, obviously our program's generated a lot of publicity, and rightfully so, from some very talented players. But I think in a lot of ways the story that was missed was that one, what I just shared, of the complete transformation of our program, and what a great job these guys have done. Dieris is a senior, Sky is our captain, of leading this group and getting better throughout the weeks, and then dealing with all the adversity of our lineup changing many times throughout the season and showing great leadership. So we couldn't be prouder to be here. We're so excited to represent the Big West Conference and Long Beach State University, and look forward to getting after it.
Thanks, Coach. We'll have enough questions.
Coach will delve into questions, everything, but before, just a little housekeeping that I'm asking every coach. Any injury updates since your conference finals, or any lineup changes since your conference final match?
Yeah, there's some pretty good HIPAA rules about talking about guys' individual stuff. I think if you look at our box scores over the year, over the course of the year, of course, we've been dealing with some stuff, and we're going to be as healthy as we are. And some of our guys that haven't been playing are day to day, and so we may see them, we may not. But I really don't want to get into that. I think it's not a good storyline for us to get into, and I think it really violates their personal HIPAA.
Well, we definitely don't want to do that. Getting into a good storyline, though, that we do want to talk about, Dieris, Skylar, Coach mentioned it earlier. Can you just take us to the beginning of the season? What did you all do to kind of set that tone right away?
Sorry, yeah. I think, well, first off, coming into this fall, I think a lot of our training, like it was great. We had great competitive training, and I thought it was a great opportunity for a lot of new players to mesh with each other. And I think we saw the potential we had early in this fall, and I thought it brought us a good opportunity to start off the season showing what we have. Obviously, like we said, we've been jumping through a lot of players. I can't even count how many different guys have been on the court and how many different guys I've played with throughout the season, but I really don't think that matters with the amount of depth that we have. But I think, it's a pretty exciting group no matter who we have on the court.
Yeah, I think very early when we were first starting, our practices, obviously, a lot of new pieces. It's not always easy, to work with everybody and figure everybody out and, build the team chemistry. But I think, again, we had that competitiveness that was able to kind of make us bond a little bit more on the court. And I think, month after month, we started getting closer and figuring out our chemistry. And again, having just so much depth with our team that it really didn't matter who we had on the court. We could trust them to be able to do their job and, be the same unit as anybody else and stuff. So I think it was a very humbling experience, definitely, to be with this group of guys, and excited for this tournament.
Just going off it a little bit, you look at last year, obviously both of you were leaders last year, but had to be even more leaders this year with the turnover. What's been the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself and you've grown as a person in this leadership experience?
I always hate calling myself a leader, but I also know that being a senior, I do have responsibilities with this team, and you know, being able to, and having played in the championship game last year, I do have, you know, experiences and little tokens that I can give to the other guys who haven't been in that same situation, and I just try to lead through example as best as I can, and try to show them, you know, to not play with any fear, and to, you know, try to just be who they are in practice, you know, every single day, and at the same time not trying to, you know, change who they are as a player and as a person, but to just try to bring the team close together as much as they can. And so I was able to try to find that, because typically I'm a pretty quiet person, but I think I definitely have to try to get out of my comfort zone a little bit to help the guys, for sure.
Yeah, I think for me, in my first couple of years, I've been described kind of as a spark plug, like, you know, someone to get the team kind of fired up on the court, to celebrate good points for the team, and I think that brings a lot of energy to the guys. But I think as I've gotten older, I've learned that, especially with a lot of younger guys, like we said, we had 4 freshmen on the court at one point, and maybe that's not my role anymore. I've learned, especially from last year too, that I can be this player who's calm and cool on the court, very collected, and I think that's important for our team. I've learned that this year, that I can be that guy, I can be the person that my teammates can lean on, that I'll support them no matter what, and I like to think that I have the exact same thing with the other players as well. So, yeah.
And Coach, I want to ask you, because, you know, you're one of the best coaches in the history of our game. When you have players, you know, like Sky, Darius, how do you help cultivate that atmosphere, you know, where, you know, they can learn how to be leaders, and just, do you have conversations with them at the start of the year? How do you kind of let them navigate that and put them in situations to be successful?
Well, we're very intentional in our fall with our culture, with how we try to build our team. And in reality, we don't name a captain in the fall. We want everyone to lead. And leading doesn't mean being a captain, and it doesn't always mean being super vocal, but leading your own way. And I really want, by the end of the fall, our leadership of who's going to be named captain to be very organic and also be very obvious. And I think that was the case this year. But of course, yeah, I have conversations with them of what I have guardrails of what I'd like the program to be like. We spend a lot of time with a lot of input from them in the fall. But in reality, I think one of the worst things you can do as a captain or a leader on a team is trying to be someone else. Maybe you played with another player who was a great captain or a great leader, you're trying to be him. What I try to strive for when I try to choose the captains and try to work with leaders is these guys leading in their own way, being really authentic. We're not trying to be the 24 team, and we're not worrying about being the 26 team. We're only trying to be the 25 team, and we're going to lead with what we have to lead with. So what that means is, to me, it's lead by example first. You know, let your actions have a lot more volume to what the message is going across than what you say, and then the words will mean more. And both these guys have done that. Darius has already told you that he's not necessarily the most extroverted or verbal person all the time on the court, but when he talks, it comes with great value. And you know, with Sky, he's been in kind of a leadership role for us the last 2 years, but I think he's done a great job leading this team this year, doing it 100% of what's comfortable for him. But what the guys would tell you is that they see what they're saying by how they train, how they commit to video, how they commit to the weight room, how their prehab and their rehab, and the type of teammates and what kind of communication they have with their teammates. So because of that, that's who we are this year. So be themselves, be authentic, and let's be 100% invested on everything we're doing is for the good intention of our teammates and the greater good of our team.
Skylar and Darius, Coach mentioned it earlier, so much accolades have been given to so many players on Long Beach, and sometimes, you know, media is guilty of overlooking some people. So who have we not done a good job propping up, who has been overlooked this year that people should know going into this tournament? Obviously, besides you two, of course.
Honestly, the entire team, you don't see I know that's a very generic answer, but without every single day we're practicing against the second best team in the country, right? Or first best team in the country. We have, like I said earlier, and Coach said earlier, we have an incredible amount of depth, and there's been so many guys on the court, and we've won with so many guys on the court. So I don't think there's a certain number of people that deserve, like, on the team that we miss out from all these accolades. I think everybody, like, if we could, I mean, everyone deserves one. And yeah, I just think that the amount of depth that we have is just unreal, and I don't think that it's comparable to any other team that we've had in the past.
Let me say one thing though, Vinny. I think what you would like to hear is a couple of names, meaning like some of those ones that are getting missed over. And I think that Nato Dickinson's been huge for us, right? He's played in the middle, he's played on the right. Sebasani was huge when we lost Soterius, and then he carried a big load for us in the middle of conference. And I think that Alex Conduff coming in, and he's been great, and he's passed the ball really well for us. And then a lot of this attention that hasn't went on, say, Kellen Larson, because especially some of the things that I was doing early as a coach where I was using a 2 libero system, maybe hurt him a little bit, but I think his growth has been tremendous. And obviously he's out there in a very important position for us, passing a lot of the balls. And I think as a freshman, he's done a tremendous job, not just in the technique of passing the ball, but his attention to detail on prepping for matches, his communication, and the attitude he comes in with every day to get better, I think rubs off on the serve receive guys.
And then, Coach, I want to ask you about this match against Fort Valley State. Had an opportunity to play them earlier this year.
Yeah.
Seen them on film. What do you feel has been the biggest improvements they've made since you last played them?
Well, I think like all of us, their lineup has evolved, and they've moved some pieces around, and they might be a little bit more physical at the pins now than when we saw them early on. But what I'm impressed with is the brand of volleyball they're playing overall. You know, they're running a decent tempo. They got some really good arms. They're hitting their serves. They're setting the bic. They're mixing up their routes from their middles, and they're changing up to make sure you're not seeing the same look in every rotation. And they've been here. They played in this tournament last year. They got a great coach, and I'm sure they're more than dialed. They've had the most time. You know, their tournament ended, for me, it seems like forever ago. But so they've been dialed and prepped. I'm sure they're excited to be here, and I can't stress enough how much respect we have for what they do and how excited we are to get out and play them.
And Darius, I want to ask you, playing a team like Fort Valley State and HBCU, what does that just mean for you when you can look across court and see other players who look like you, and just the growth that we've seen in more and more minorities taking up volleyball?
Yeah, I think it's great for the sport, and it's definitely, you know, like a big honor to be able to play, you know, against them, and to see that program, you know, evolve the way that it has, and you know, to see other players of people of color, you know, on different teams. And to see that every year, you know, there's more and more players, and it's really cool to see. Because growing up, there was only a couple of players that I could look up to, but you know, there obviously wasn't a whole lot and stuff. So, part of me is also very, very happy to be in the position I am today, and hopefully that I can sort of inspire other kids as well, who may look like me but doesn't know if they want to play volleyball because everybody expects them to play basketball or football. And hopefully I can be, as well as other players, sort of that inspiration that, you know, they can kind of branch out into these other sports. So it's great to already see that happening, and to be able to play Fort Valley State, I think is going to be a great representation for all of us.
And then one final question, and on lighter note, question for the players. I had my 7-year-old come up with questions. So she wants to know, what was your favorite movie when you were a kid?
Probably Spider-Man, I'd say.
My favorite movie as a kid, I would say, when I was really young, and even till this day, I think my favorite Disney movie is Toy Story, for sure.